Imagine a piece of knowledge so simple, so small, that it fits in 30 seconds of your life. Yet that 30 seconds has already saved thousands of people from dying. Not in hospitals. Not with machines. Not with doctors standing over you. Just you. Your hands. And something you were never taught. Pause 2 full seconds of silence. Right now, 1 in 3 seniors will face a life-threatening emergency within the next 5 years. And most of them will not know what to do in the first 60 seconds. That is the window. 60 seconds. That is what decides whether you come home or you don't. But the world of emergency survival holds far more than what most people expect. We think of emergencies as something that happens to other people. Something on the news. Something distant. But the truth is brutally simple: emergencies don't announce themselves. They don't wait. They arrive. And the difference between life and death comes down to one thing: whether you knew what to do. Now listen to this. The American Heart Association reports that over 350,000 cardiac arrests happen outside of hospitals every single year in this country. Of those, only about 10% survive. 10%. But here's what they also found. When an ordinary person, no medical training, no equipment, acts within the first few minutes, survival rates can double. Sometimes triple. Falls. Choking. Strokes. Severe bleeding. These emergencies happen in living rooms, in kitchens, in backyards. And there are specific, proven techniques buried in medical training manuals that most of us never see, that can be performed by anyone. Even if your hands shake. Even if you are terrified. These techniques are steeped in decades of real-world data, refined through thousands of actual emergencies. And yet they are almost never taught. Not in schools. Not in retirement communities. Not in the doctor's office. This is forgotten knowledge. Knowledge that could carve the difference between coming home and never coming home at all. Today, we are going to uncover 5 of the most critical life-saving moves a senior citizen can know, each one more powerful than the last. These aren't tips. These are the exact techniques emergency responders wish every person on this planet already knew. And we are starting with number 1, a move so counterintuitive that most people get it exactly wrong in the moment. And getting it wrong can be fatal. The Heimlich maneuver, and the one thing most people do wrong. Let's start with a scenario. It's a Tuesday evening. You're at the dinner table. Maybe with family. Maybe alone. You take a bite of meat. And suddenly, nothing goes down. Your throat closes. You can't breathe. You can't speak. You can't even cough. What do most people do? They panic. They reach for water. They try to swallow harder. And every single one of those instincts, every one makes it worse. Here's what you need to know first. Choking is the 4th leading cause of accidental death among seniors in the United States. And most choking deaths, most of them happen at home. Alone. With no one around to help. Which means the person who needs to save your life is you. So here's the real question, and this is the part most people never think about until it's too late. What do you do when you are choking and there is no one there to help you? The answer is something called a self-administered Heimlich maneuver. And it works like this. First, make a fist with one hand. Place it just above your belly button, just below your ribs. Now grab that fist with your other hand. And thrust inward and upward. Hard. Fast. Repeat. Every single thrust is pushing air up through your windpipe with enough force to dislodge whatever is blocking it. That's the standard technique. And it works when you have the grip strength to do it. But here's the backup that almost nobody talks about. And this is the part that could genuinely save your life if you are older or if your grip isn't what it used to be. You find a hard edge. A countertap. The back of a sturdy chair. An edge of a table. You lean over it, position it just above your belly button, and you drive your body down onto it. Hard. Fast. You let gravity and the edge do the work. You don't need grip strength. You don't need someone else. You just need to know this is an option. And here's the thing, most people have never even heard of this. It's not on the back of a cereal box. It's not in a pamphlet at your doctor's office. This is the kind of knowledge that gets passed between emergency responders and almost nowhere else. But choking is terrifying because it happens fast. There's another emergency that is even more deceptive, one that doesn't feel like an emergency at all when it starts. And by the time you realize what's happening, you may have already lost the window to save yourself. That's move number 2. And it might be the most important thing you learn today. Recognition, the fast method, and the hidden sign almost everyone misses. Here's what a stroke feels like to the person having one. At first, nothing, or almost nothing. A strange feeling, a little confusion. Maybe one side of your face feels odd. Maybe your arm feels heavy. And your brain is actively lying to you, telling you it's fine. That it's nothing. That you should just sit down and rest. That delay, that moment of, oh, it's probably nothing, costs lives every single day. Because with a stroke, every minute that passes, 2 million neurons die. 2 million. Every single minute. So how do you recognize it? Doctors use an acronym. FAST. Face drooping. Arm weakness. Speech difficulty. Time to call 911. If you notice any of these signs in yourself or in someone else, you act immediately. Not in 10 minutes. Not after you finish your coffee. Right now. But here's the part that even most medical professionals don't emphasize enough. There is a 5th sign. One that FAST doesn't cover. And it is one of the most reliable early indicators of a stroke, especially in seniors. Sudden, unexplained confusion. Not sleepiness. Not regular forgetfulness. A sudden, sharp shift in how you think. Like the world just changed and you can't figure out why. If that happens out of nowhere, that is your body screaming at you. And you need to listen. Now knowing the signs is only half the battle. Because here is where it gets critical. What do you actually do if you suspect you are having a stroke and you are alone? You call 911. Immediately. That is non-negotiable. But then, and this is the step that saves lives, you do something most people never think to do. You unlock your front door. Think about that for a second. Paramedics arrive. They rush to your door. It's locked. They have to break it down. That takes time. Sometimes minutes. And with a stroke, minutes are neurons. So before you do anything else, before you even sit down, you get to that door and you unlock it. And then you lie down. But not on your back. On your side. This is called the recovery position. It keeps your airway open. Because if the stroke progresses, if you lose consciousness, you need to be able to breathe without anyone holding you. And the recovery position does that automatically. So we've covered 2 emergencies that can steal your life in minutes. But what about the one that steals it in seconds? A fall. A bad fall. And for seniors, a fall is not just painful, it can be immediately life-threatening. Move number 3 is about how to fall correctly. Yes, there is a correct way to fall. And learning it could be the difference between a bruise and a broken hip. How to fall safely and why most seniors fall the worst possible way. Every year, over 300,000 seniors are rushed to the emergency room because of a fall. And the number 1 reason those falls become catastrophic isn't the floor. It isn't the height. It's how they fall. Most seniors, the second they feel themselves losing balance, do one thing instinctively. They go rigid. They lock their arms straight out in front of them. And they hit the ground exactly the wrong way. Locked wrists. Outstretched hands. That's a broken wrist. A broken hip. Sometimes both. And a broken hip in a senior, the statistics are genuinely alarming. Up to 30% of seniors who suffer a hip fracture do not survive the year. 30%. From a fall. So here's what you actually do. The moment you feel yourself going down, and this takes practice, so we'll come back to that, you do 3 things. First, tuck your chin to your chest. This protects your head from hitting the ground. Second, curl your arms inward. Do not lock them out. Let your forearms take the impact, not your wrists. Third, try to land on the meatiest part of your body. Your side. Your thigh. Your shoulder. Not your hip. Not your wrist. The side absorbs the most impact without breaking. Now, and this is the real secret, this is not something you figure out in the moment. When you're falling, your body panics. Your instincts scream at you to catch yourself. That's millions of years of evolution kicking in. And it will override anything you've just heard, unless you've trained your body to do something different. Physical therapists actually teach this as a drill. You practice falling slowly, controlled onto a soft surface. A bed. A carpet. Over and over. Until the motion becomes muscle memory. Until your body knows what to do before your brain even catches up. It sounds strange. Practicing falling. But it is one of the most effective things a senior can do to survive one. Okay. So now you know how to survive a choking, recognize a stroke, and fall without breaking. But here's a question. What if the emergency isn't about your body at all? What if it's about bleeding? Severe, unstoppable bleeding. The kind that kills people in under 5 minutes. Move number 4 is a technique that was originally developed for the battlefield and it is now being taught to civilians. And it works with nothing but your own hands. But before moving on, if you like these kinds of videos and want to support me, please consider subscribing. It's completely free. The battlefield technique now saving civilian lives and how to improvise it. Picture this. You're in the garden. You slip. A sharp tool, a saw, a blade, an edge of something metal catches your arm. Or your leg. And suddenly, blood is everywhere. Not a trickle. A flood. And your brain goes completely blank. Here's the brutal truth. Severe bleeding can kill a person in as little as 3 to 5 minutes. 3 minutes. That is not enough time for an ambulance to arrive in most areas. So if you don't act, if you don't know what to do, the bleeding stops you. So let's talk about what you actually do. The first thing, and this is critical, is direct pressure. You press down on the wound. Hard. With a clean cloth. A towel. A shirt. Anything. And you do not let go. Most people release the pressure after a few seconds. They lift the cloth to check if it's still bleeding. And the second they do that, the clot breaks. And you're back to square one. So you hold. You press as hard as you can. And you hold for a full 10 minutes. Without lifting. Without checking. 10 minutes. That is how bleeding stops. But what if 10 minutes of pressure isn't enough? What if the bleeding is too severe? This is where the technique gets serious and where most people have no idea what to do. The military developed something called a tourniquet. A tight band wrapped around a limb above the wound to cut off blood flow entirely. For decades civilians were told never to use one. The old advice was, tourniquets cause tissue death. Never, ever use one. That advice is now completely, officially outdated. The American Heart Association and FEMA now actively encourage civilians to learn how to use a tourniquet. The science changed. The recommendation changed. Most people just never got the update. So here's how you improvise one with what you have lying around your house. Take a strip of cloth. A belt. A necktie. A torn piece of fabric, but it needs to be at least 2 inches wide. Wrap it around the limb above the wound. Above meaning between the wound and your heart. Tie it tight. Not so tight it cuts through skin, but tight. Now take something rigid. A pen. A wooden spoon. A stick. Insert it into the band. And twist. Keep twisting until the bleeding stops. Then secure it, tie it, hold it, wedge it so it doesn't unwind. And here is the one detail that could make the difference between a good outcome and a catastrophic one. Note the time. Write it on the person's skin if you have to. Because when paramedics arrive, they need to know exactly how long that tourniquet has been on. And if no one recorded it, they're guessing. So we've now covered 4 emergencies. 4 techniques. 4 ways to survive something that would otherwise kill you. But we've saved the most important one for last. Move number 5 isn't about one specific emergency. It's about every emergency. It is the one skill that multiplies the value of everything else you've just learned. And most seniors don't have it. And without it, none of the other 4 moves matter nearly as much as they should. The master framework that makes everything else work and the 3-minute setup that could save your life. Everything we've covered so far, the Heimlich, the stroke signs, the controlled fall, the tourniquet, all of it assumes one thing. It assumes that in the moment of crisis, you can think clearly. But here is the thing nobody tells you. In a real emergency, a real one, most people cannot think clearly. Adrenaline floods your system. Your vision narrows. Your hands shake. And your mind goes completely, terrifyingly blank. You know the steps. You learned them. But in that moment, they vanish. So what's the solution? You don't rely on thinking in the moment. You pre-program your response. You build what emergency professionals call a personal emergency action plan. And you do it now. Before anything happens. Before you need it. It takes 3 minutes to set up. And it could be the thing that saves your life. The plan has 3 parts. Part 1. Your emergency contact card. A single piece of paper. Or a note on your phone. With your most critical medical information. Your medications. Your allergies. Any conditions a paramedic needs to know in the first 30 seconds. You put this on your fridge. You put it in your wallet. You put it somewhere a first responder will find it the moment they walk through your door. Because if you're unconscious, if you can't speak, this card speaks for you. Part 2. Your 911 protocol. Your phone needs to have 911 as the fastest number you can reach. Not buried in a menu. Not behind a password. One tap. And your front door. Remember what we talked about with the stroke? If you collapse, paramedics need to get inside. A locked door doesn't just slow them down. In some cases, it stops them entirely. So during the day, if you live alone, that door should be unlocked. Or at the very least, you know exactly how to unlock it in under 5 seconds. Because those 5 seconds matter. And part 3, this is the one that actually rewires how your brain works under pressure. Mental rehearsal. You imagine yourself in an emergency. Not in a vague, abstract way. You actually walk through it in your head. Step by step. You feel yourself choking. You see yourself moving to the counter. You feel the edge. You drive down. You see yourself calling 911. You see yourself unlocking the door. You see yourself lying on your side. This isn't pop psychology. This is the same technique fighter pilots use before combat. The same technique athletes use before the most important moment of their career. It is called mental simulation. And it literally changes how your brain responds under extreme stress. When the real moment comes, and let's hope it never does, your body will already know what to do. Not because you remembered in the moment. Because you rehearsed it. Over and over. Until it became automatic. So let's bring it all together. 5 moves. 5 techniques. Each one learned in minutes. Each one capable of saving a life. Move 1. The self-Heimlich. If you choke alone, you know how to clear your own airway. With your hands. Or with an edge. Move 2. Recognizing a stroke. Fast plus that 5th sign. The sudden confusion. And the recovery position. On your side. Airway open. Move 3. The controlled fall. Chin tucked. Arms curled. Land on your side. Not rigid. Not panicked. Controlled. Move 4. Stopping severe bleeding. Direct pressure. 10 minutes. No lifting. And the improvised tourniquet belt. Pen. Twist. Note the time. And move 5, the one that ties all of it together. Your personal emergency action plan. The card on your fridge. The door you can unlock in seconds. And the mental rehearsal that makes your body act before your mind even catches up. These 5 moves will not make you invincible. But they will make you prepared. And in an emergency, prepared is the closest thing to invincible that exists. If this video helped you, or if it might help someone you know, subscribe. It's free. And it might just